good morning, and welcome to the 2026, the Unreasonable Life Vision and Goals Workshop. Look, all right, before we jump in, I just want to say welcome, right? You didn't end up being here or watching this recording by accident, right? If you're in this room, it's because something in you knows that you're capable of more, right? More clarity, more focus, more consistency, and possibly more impact, right? Today is not going to be like some hype session, right? This isn't about setting 20 goals and burning out by February, right? This workshop is about getting clear, choosing one real priority and building a simple plan that you can actually follow through on, right? My role today isn't to motivate you. It's just to help you think clearly, to ask better questions, and to have you walk out with something practical that you can execute on starting today or maybe even this week. Right? And here's the deal. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be confident. You just need to be honest and willing to engage. Right? If you show up fully over this next hour, you will leave with clarity and momentum. I promise you that. Right? So take a breath, put distractions away. Let's go to work. Quick intro for me, for those of you who don't know me well. My name is Michael, right? I'm an entrepreneur and a coach. And for most of my life, I've been obsessed with one question. Why do capable, driven people feel stuck? Right? Over the years, building my business and helping others, working with clients and coaching massage therapists and service providers, I notice a pattern, right? Most people don't have a motivation problem. They don't have a discipline problem. They have a clarity and focus problem, right? They set too many goals. They give themselves too much time and they rely on motivation instead of systems, right? And I've lived that myself, especially when I first started, right? I've chased big visions without a clear plan, stayed busy without making any real progress. And I've learned the hard way what hustle does without a clear plan, right? What changed everything for me was learning how to simplify. This is probably one of my greatest struggles, right? How to narrow focus, to shorten the timeline, and to measure progress through actions, not just outcomes, right? That's why I believe so strongly in the approach that we're going to go over today. It's not about doing more, it's about doing the right things consistently. Right. So everything we're doing today is practical, it's realistic, and it's designed to fit real life. Right? You have work, you have family, you have responsibilities and all, and we have to fit this in around all of those things. My goal for you today is not perfection, right? It's for you to gain some clarity and some confidence. It's to have you walking out of this room knowing exactly what you're focused on over the next 12 weeks. If you're willing to be honest, focused, and engaged today, I believe this will work for you. Okay, so what we're going to go over first, we'll identify some of the most common mistakes that people make when setting goals, right? The things that quietly sabotage progress, even when motivation is high. Second, we're going to talk about why goals matter beyond achievement, right? How the right goals shape your quality of life, clarity, confidence, peace, your relationships, and your long term fulfillment, not just external success. Then we'll cover the key mindset shifts that need to happen if you want to stop setting goals and start executing. Right? We're going to change how you think about time, effort, consistency, and progress. And then finally, we're going to narrow everything down into one clear 12-week priority, right? And we're going to build a simple action plan that you're going to be able to work on daily, weekly, or monthly, right? So that you leave knowing exactly what to work on and how to stay consistent. You with me? All right, let's get into it. All right, so common goal setting mistakes. Like the first mistake is um, we don't set goals at all, right? About 80% of people say they don't have goals, right? And if you have no vision, no target, no direction, if you're not aiming at something, then you don't get to be surprised when life doesn't change for you, right? Or when then you don't move the needle in your business, right? No target equals nothing to adjust. Nothing to adjust equals no reason for growth. So the first mistake is not setting goals at all. But you're here, you're different, you're already going to be in a different percentage of people, right? The second mistake is we think we have goals, but we only have part of one, right? Most people confuse resolutions with goals, right? A real goal has three parts. A goal is a vision, a plan, and a commitment, right? At New Year's, most people only do the first part, the vision. That's the resolution, right? I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to make 10 grand a month. I want to travel more. That's the proclamation. That's hope. That's intention. But then we stop there, right? And that's why I think January 10th, 90% of people have already given up on their resolution, right? There's missing pieces, right? The vision answers, what do I want? The plan answers, how am I going to get there? Right? A plan is a detailed program of action, a clear list of priorities, actions, and tactics, right? It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. But even vision plus a plan still isn't enough. What's missing? Commitment, right? Commitment is non negotiable. Why? Right? Because commitment is what carries you through your feelings. Your feelings are what will crush your dream more than anything else, right? A lot of times we want to blame things outside of us, but the real killer of our dreams is I don't feel like it. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like marketing today. I don't feel like networking. I don't feel confident. I don't feel ready. Commitment means I act regardless of how I feel. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but consistently, right? When you're committed, you don't get to do whatever feels easiest anymore. You don't get to do whatever feels good, and you don't get to act only when you feel like it. Mistake number 3 is that we don't write our goals down, right? Thinking is not deciding. Only about 16% of people say they have goals. 16% of people say they have them at all, but they never write them down. Unwritten goals stay optional, right? Once it's written, your brain treats it as something you've chosen, not something you're considering, right? Once it's written, what's written becomes what you see, and your brain starts noticing, right? Opportunities that align, distractions that don't align, actions that move the needle, right? Your mind sees in pictures and it creates what it sees, right? So always write, when we're writing goals, we're going to make sure that we're always writing down what we want, not what we don't want, right? Because we want to, if we're writing down what we don't want, what does our mind see? It sees the thing we don't want, right? You don't believe me? Whatever you do, do not picture me in a red bikini right now. Yeah. I'm sorry to do that to you. I'm sorry to do that to you. I know you just pictured me in your head, like, but I said don't do it, right? It doesn't matter. Our mind doesn't register don't. It only sees the picture, right? So we always focus on what we want, and I always write it down like I already have it because I want that picture in my mind every time I write my goals down. I have a paid off house. I have, 30 salons. I have 300 people in my coaching group. I want to envision that. I want to create that. I want to start noticing the signs for that. Right? This allows me to visualize and feel into my goals. Right? And when I visualize and feel into it, I become a vibrational match for that version of me. Right? That's when the signs start to become clear. Right? Just like when you get the new car. And then all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere, right? Does that mean the car wasn't there before? The signs were always there. You just weren't a match for them yet. So you didn't notice. So write down your goals and write them like you already have it. Visualize. Feel those feelings of what it would feel like to already have it. And then start noticing the signs. Mistake number 4 is we write them down once a year and then we never revisit them. Less than 4% of people write down their goals. Less than 4% of people write down their goals. And less than 1% review them regularly. What you don't revisit, you don't execute. Right? Writing them down keeps your goal alive. Right? Goals fade when they're set once and forgotten. Writing them down regularly keeps them front of mind instead of back of mind. Right? What you repeatedly write, you remember. Right? It strengthens commitment. Every time you rewrite your goal, you're saying, this still matters for me. Act on it. Right? That repetition helps to train discipline, not motivation. Right? Writing it down, that it keeps the actions aligned, right? When your goals are written often, actions get filtered automatically. Right? If I write my goal down, automatically I start thinking, what do I need to do today to accomplish this? Or to make progress towards this, or to take the next step, right? It helps you to stop asking, what do I feel like doing? And start asking, what moves this goal forward? The 5th mistake people make is they don't have any accountability. Private goals get postponed. Shared goals get done. Accountability turns intention into action. It's easy to want something in private. It is harder to ignore something you've committed to publicly. Accountability moves goals from thinking to doing, right? It neutralizes your feelings. See, most goals don't fail because of lack of ability. They fail because of feelings. Like I said, I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I'll do it next week. Accountability gives you a reason to act when motivation is low. It increases your follow through, right? Studies show people who write down goals, who share them, and report progress are significantly more likely to achieve them. Why? Because accountability creates a psychological commitment, right? There was a study done. 267 participants ranging from 23 to 72 years old, randomly assigned to 5 groups. Group 1 was simply asked to think deeply about their goals and what they wanted to accomplish over the next 4 weeks, but don't write them down, right? Just think about them deeply. So they were required to have a goal, okay? Groups 2, 3, 4, and 5 were asked to write their goals down. Group 3 asked to formulate a list of action commitments. Group 4 was asked to formulate a list of action commitments and then send that list of goals and actions to a supportive friend, right? So they enlisted accountability there. And group 5 was asked to do all of the above and provide weekly progress reports to that friend. At the end of the 4 weeks, the participants, I freaking love this study. The participants were asked to rate their progress and to the degree which they accomplished their goals. Group 1 accomplished 43% of their goals, which isn't bad, right? Just thinking deeply, just having a goal and thinking deeply about it in a short time of frame, 4 weeks, they completed 43%. It's less than half, but it's still progress, right? While the people in group 5 who were asked to write their goals, to write action commitments, to send it to a friend, and to check in weekly, achieve 76% of their goals. Right? That's a 33% increase over group 1. That's huge. Right? For the 1% of people who have goals, write them down, review them regularly, and enlist accountability, they earn 9 times more over their lifetime than those who do not set goals. 9 times more over their lifetime. That means if you earn 60,000 a year, if that's the average, right? Over the next 45 years, that's $2.7 million in 45 years. 9 times that is $540,000 a year or $24.3 million, right? So to be in that 1% is a huge gap between the people who don't write goals and the ones that do. You just have to decide which group you want to be in, right? There's no wrong answers. It's completely up to you. For me, I'm writing my goals down. I'm doing it regularly. I'm taking action on them daily. I'm not playing games. Is that crazy? That's crazy to me. All right. So why do goals matter beyond achievement? Point number one is that goals are going to shape how you spend your time, right? Without clear goals, your time is going to get filled by everybody else's priorities. It's going to get filled by distractions. It's going to be filled by things that feel urgent but aren't important in you attaining what you want to go after. Right? When you have clear goals, your time becomes a lot more intentional, right? You stop asking, what do I feel like doing? You start asking what actually matters right now, right? And it allows you to say no without guilt. And it allows you to say yes with clarity. Excuse my slurping on my coffee. But if you don't have goals, right? Everybody else's priority is going to become yours. Their emergencies are going to become yours, right? And a lot of us, we think we're not good at saying no. I'm not good at saying no, but we sure are good at saying no to our own goals and our own dreams. We're happy to say no to us and yes to somebody else who's trying to take us away from our priorities, right? The better we are and more intentional we are with our goals and our time, first off, the more free time we're actually going to have because I did a better job managing my time. I was more focused and got more done in a short amount of time, which is actually going to leave me a lot more time for other things. Okay. Next, goals reduce unnecessary stress, right? A lot of stress doesn't come from doing too much, it comes from uncertainty, right? And then uncertainty creates overwhelm, right? When we have unclear goals, that creates mental noise. Am I working on the right thing? Am I behind? Should I be doing more? Clear goals create a clear path, which clears the mind. You may still be busy, but you're no longer scattered, right? When you get clarity, you can move to action more peacefully and create big progress in the process. For those of you with a spouse or with kids, goals can really increase your presence. Matter of fact, if you're a massage therapist, you need to be present with the person on your table as well, right? When you don't know what you're focused on, your mind is always elsewhere. Clear goals allow you to be fully present because you know what's handled. You know what you have to do next. You know what's scheduled. You know what can be put off for later, right? When you're not clear on these things, even when I'm not working on them, I'm thinking about them. And so I'm not really present with the people in my life who matter more than my business, ultimately. Right? Having clear goals and clear action steps laid out can allow you to come out of your head and into your body and be present now. Goals build confidence through self-trust. Confidence does not come from thinking positively. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you set a clear goal, take consistent action, and follow through, you reinforce belief. I can trust myself. You reinforce that belief, right? That self trust becomes confidence, right? Not trusting ourselves to follow through is probably one of the biggest reasons so many don't even start in the first place because we have all this evidence that we didn't do what we said we're going to do in the past. So we got to shift some mindsets here, right? There's some mindsets that need to be shifted. First, we need to shift from motivation to consistency, right? Motivation is emotional, it's temporary. Consistency is behavioral, it's reliable, right? It says, I'll do it even though I don't feel like it. And I promise you, most of the things that you're going to write down today, you're probably not going to feel like doing. We'll go over that in a minute, right? But if you progress, if your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be unstable. Consistency removes emotion from execution, right? And this shift allows you to keep moving forward, even on tired, busy, or discouraging days. Throughout the process of you going after your goal, there's one guarantee that I have for you. That guarantee is that you are going to encounter problems. You are going to encounter life things that are going to make you want to stop. No matter what season of life you're in, that's never going to change. Never. There's always going to be something that comes up that's going to require your attention and try to take you off track. It is your job to get back on track, even when you don't feel like it. Right. And this is where one of my favorite books and the 5 second rule comes in. Right. So the 5 second rule basically states that whatever you want to go after, let's take working out, for example. You say to yourself, I want to work out. Within 5 seconds, you will have talked yourself out of it. Right. And so the 5 second rule states that when these prompts come up, right, this goes back to the vision and feeling into and becoming a vibrational match for what you want. Then these prompts will start coming up. This is basically the secret, right? These prompts will come up of things that you want to do or should do, or that you'll have these ideas that pop. Oh, I should contact this person, or I should go to the gym, or I should work out today. I have 30 minutes. These things will come up and you'll talk yourself out of it. As soon as they come up, you need to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and immediately move to action. The counting replaces the talking yourself out of it, right? The I'll do it later. Oh, I'll go to the gym tonight after I get off work when I know dang well I'm going to be tired and not want to do it. I'll call them tomorrow. I'll get back to that email tomorrow. That voice is the killer of your dreams. Counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then moving to action immediately. It sounds so simple, and it is. That rule will literally change your life. Change your life. Because that rule moves you to action, and action is the missing piece for most people's success. Right? So start with the small things, right? Hey, I told my wife I was going to do the dishes before I left for work today. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go do the dishes. Oh, I should pick up that pile of clothes. That thought pops in your head. I should do a load of laundry. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do the load of laundry. The more you're consistent in the small things and you build trust in the small things, the easier it's going to be to stay consistent in the big things. These small wins like that are going to create so much trust in yourself. You will be unstoppable. When you trust yourself, you are unstoppable. The more I say I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow and I go to the gym, the more I reinforce belief in myself and trust in myself, the more unstoppable I become. Right? All the time, we're building trust in ourselves or we're taking trust away from ourselves. The 5-second rule is the thing that can help you push past your emotions and move into actions regardless of how we feel. Okay. Shift number 2, we need to shift from goals or from more goals, many goals, to one priority. More goals don't create more success. They create more friction. They create more chaos, right? When everything matters, then we don't have a priority. Fewer targets create clarity, focus, and momentum. So, probably the most important word you can learn in business is no. I asked one of my coaching clients recently if she would be a moderator in the Unreasonable Life community. That I'm trying to build, and she asked expectations of her, and ultimately she said no because she wants to stay focused on what she's building in her and doesn't want to add that to her plate. Let me tell you, I could not be prouder of her setting that boundary and telling me no. Right? This shift protects your time and energy so progress can compound instead of scatter. Right? There can only be one priority. You can't have priorities. That's not real. One thing is always going to be more important than another. And so it's like, what is the most important thing? We need to narrow down to that. And we're going to do that today. So we need to shift from perfection mindset to progress mindset. Perfection says, I'll give it my all or I give it nothing. Progress says 10% is so much better than nothing. A 10-minute workout is better than me skipping the gym altogether today. Right? A baby step is still forward progress. And one thing I want you to understand is if you are a self-proclaimed perfectionist, if everything needs to be perfect in order for you to act, that's not real. That's all that is. The name I'm a perfectionist is just a cover up for fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, or of the responsibility that comes with success. Right? Let me tell you, in business, 80% and done is better than 100% and still in your head. I'm helping a friend of mine start a garage cleaning and organizing business. Right? If we had to wait for things to be perfect before she started, she would not have made the $700 to $800 that she made this week in her first week. Right? This shift allows us to move into action. Right? And besides, the only people who are going to criticize you for things not being perfect are people who aren't doing anything. So who are we afraid to disappoint? Right? The next shift we need to make is we need to shift from focusing on outcomes to focusing on effort and actions. Right? When it comes to setting goals, we do not focus on the outcome. Outcomes are influenced by variables that are outside of our control. Outcomes are not my business. In my opinion, that's God's business. Right? I stay out of his business. Right? Effort and actions are my business. That's what I need to focus on. And those are always within my control. So when you focus only on results, you're going to feel discouraged pretty quickly. When you focus on effort and actions, you win daily. Every day you get a win. Right? This shift keeps motivation alive and effort consistent. Right? And this is why writing down daily wins and weekly successes for the efforts that you took is key to keeping your energy high and moving forward. Right? That's why in the planner that I created, every day I have a spot. I know you probably can't see it. Every day I have a spot for successes because we forget, right? I want you to think about the things you did last year for a second. Think about all the things you did, all the places that you went, all the trips that you took, all the fun activities that you did. How many can you think of? Probably only a few. I asked this question to another coaching friend of mine. Like, what did you accomplish last year? Like, what were some big things? You know what she forgot? She forgot she got engaged. She's like, holy crap! I can't believe I can't believe I forgot I got engaged. I'm like, right. This is why we write stuff down. When I asked myself this question a few years ago, the only thing I could really think of that I did with my family for quality time was one big trip we took to Big Bear as a family. That's the only thing that popped up. I lost all of the small daily things that I did. I lost all of the stories that I read to my daughters, all of the walks that I took with them, all the times I played with them at the park, all the movies that we went and saw that year. I lost it. And so it has me feeling like I didn't do much, but that's not true. So now I keep track of my time. I keep track of the quality time that I spend with my kids, my wife, and friends and family. I have a thing called a big ass calendar. Anytime I do something small or significant, right? My son and I watched a show together the other night. It goes on the calendar. It's quality time. It's the same thing I want you to do with your successes. I texted one person today. Write it down. Right? I sent an email today. Write it down. I posted a video today. Write it down. Celebrate those efforts. That's the stuff. Those are the bricks that build the wall. Right? The next shift we need to make is from no accountability or doing it alone to weekly check-ins and doing business together. Right? When no one's watching, it's easy to negotiate with yourself. Right? You're easy on yourself. It's all right. It's all right, Mike. You don't have to. Right? You did enough today. You could put it off till tomorrow. Right? But when we have that accountability, it creates follow through, honesty, consistency. Right? It's not about pressure. It's never about making you feel bad or guilty for not doing something. It's about support. It's about structure. Right? It's about having something outside of us to push us when we need it. I remember when my son asked me to wake up one day. He's like, Dad, can you wake me up for the gym tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. And when I did, he's tired. He's like, can I skip? Can we just skip today? I thought about it. I almost let him skip. I was like, you know what? As your father, I'm sorry, I can't allow you not to keep your word to yourself. Right? Get up, get dressed. Let's go. I know you're tired, but you'll shake that off in 5 minutes. So he got up, he got dressed, and we went to the gym. Right? Sometimes we need that accountability to push past, I don't feel like it. Right? And in that instance, we're actually both holding each other accountable because I can't be an example for him of someone who doesn't do what they say. Right? Which pushes me to get it done. Right? And in the process, I'm also that person for him who pushes him past his feelings as well. Right? That person that says, I don't, I know you don't feel like it. Let's do it anyways. Right? And there's two ways we can help with that. One, in our Skool community, right? We're setting goals today. We're gonna start doing weekly check-ins again on Monday. Weekly intentions. What are your intentions? What are the efforts you're gonna put in this week to move towards this goal? And on Friday, we check in on celebrations. What did you get done? What are we celebrating? I don't care if you got it all done. What did we make progress on? What do we need to adjust? Additionally, if you want to add additional accountability, or just another thing that you can do is called the pick two method. right? This is where you pick one business priority, one personal priority, and you just commit to working on it for a certain amount of time. Because everything we're going to work on isn't going to be able to be done in a day, right? But consistent progress on that thing leads to it being done, right? So maybe we're going to say like, hey, uh, I'm going to work on writing an email for 30 minutes today because that's what I have time for today. Or I'm going to work on cleaning out my closet for 30 minutes today. You'd be surprised what you can get done in 30 minutes. The type of progress that you can make on a focused 30-minute time frame, right? Again, we don't need to be perfect in our action. I don't need to sit down for 4 hours to complete something. I can do 4 hours over the week to get something done. Okay? So, an example of that is today, I might say I'll work on my workshop for February for 30 minutes at 7 o'clock tonight, right? Or I'll spend 30 minutes again cleaning out my closet today. Something like that. Let me make progress. And we're in a progress mindset. Cool. All right. How we doing so far? We feeling ready to set some goals? Good. All right. So this is the 12-week priority and action plan. Okay. So my goal is to have you walk out of here with a plan that you can actually execute on over the next 12 weeks. Right. So going back, like when everything is a priority, nothing is. So the question I want you to ask is, what do I want? What do I want over the next at the end of this 12 months, right? I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have coffee with Michael. What do I want to tell him that I am most proud of accomplishing? This is where you write down something. I'm going to do this as well. All right, this could be a income goal. This could be number of clients that you want to work on over the next year. What do I want? If I were only able to accomplish one thing this year, and by doing so, that thing would either make all other goals possible or irrelevant. What would you go after? Right? Some other questions I might ask is if you have it written down, you don't need to answer these. But if you could make only progress on one area this year, what would make the biggest difference in your life or business? All right. So now that we have that thing, what would need to be true in the next 12 weeks to make sure that you feel real progress towards that goal? Right? What would meaningful progress on this goal look like in just 12 weeks? Right? For example, one of my coaching clients wanted 1.2 million in sales. He's a salesperson for a moving company, right? So the 12-week target that we needed to go after was $300,000 in sales in 12 weeks. So you're right. My single 12-week priority is what? For those of you watching, you can pause this recording and write. Okay, the next thing you want to write down is your whys. I don't tell people to write down your why because I like to have multiple because I think, you know, ultimately we have like a really, really big motivation for success, but there's a lot of other ones that can help move us to action when we don't feel like it, right? One of my whys is my kids need to eat, right? So I don't have the luxury of not making a certain amount of money so that I can accomplish that goal, right? So why is this goal? Why is going after this? Why is it important to you now? Go ahead and write. If you hit this goal, what would that mean for your life? Right? Who would be positively impacted by your success? Why do this now? Why do this now instead of putting it off for later? And lastly, what kind of person do I need to become to hit this goal? See, goals are going to be more effective when we have some emotion tied to the outcome, to the goal, to what we're going after. I think the more that we have, the more likely we are to achieve it. Right? What's the purpose? What am I able to do more of? Who am I able to support if I hit my goals? How many people could positively be affected by me having success versus we don't need to do versus anybody else, but how many people could be positively impacted by my success? Right? Okay, so now that we have some skin in the game, some purpose, a why behind what we're going after, we simply need to write down 3 to 5 high impact actions, right? This is going to prevent overwhelm and it's going to help us focus on actions that lead to the biggest outcomes, right? So you don't write yet, but the question is what are the 3 to 5 actions that will move this goal forward more than anything else, right? If you could only do a few things consistently, what would move the needle the most, right? And so the question I ask, because you're going to write 3 to 5, no more than 5, right? But less the better. But we need to switch our mind into just like any tactic to the tactics that have the biggest impact, right? So you need to ask yourself, if I was only able to do one thing over the next 12 weeks, one that would have the biggest impact on me achieving this goal, what would it be? Right? If I was only able to do one thing over the next 12 weeks that would have the biggest impact on me achieving this goal, what would it be? What do you think about that? I need to blow my nose real quick. right? For me, my goal is to grow my community to 300 members, right? So one of the biggest actions that I think, if I take this action consistently, it would have the biggest impact on my goal, would be to host a monthly free workshop to help people outside of the community discover the community, right? The reason is because just by putting that on the calendar, all of the actions that go into that lead to more people finding. I have to then market that workshop. I have to post about it. It gives me something specific to talk about, right? To coach people on, to help people with, right? It allows me, and the actions that support that tactic, um, all lead to growth in the community. Does that make sense? Orion, what did you write down? Type it in. Yeah, you can come on.
For my one action plan, is that what you're asking? What did I write down for that?
Well, if you don't mind sharing what your goal is.
So my goal is to build a community of 100 massage therapists who are engaged and feel impacted for the better while earning 11K in total earnings from my businesses.
Okay. So this is several goals, right?
Yeah.
Pick one.
So the one would be to structure and execute on content creation to grow my community.
So that's a tactic, right? So go back, because you have grow a community of massage therapists and you have grow my massage business to how much revenue?
11K.
11K. So
Yeah.
which one of those two, if you only chose one, would make all of the other goals either possible or irrelevant?
Building my community. I think that would make I think that would positively impact everything else.
Okay. How?
Well, because in order for me to grow my community, I would have to create content that is impactful to massage therapists. But at the same time, I am communicating to the general public about my views and how I work on, on people and basically my identity as a massage therapist, which in turn would help with marketing of my business. Um, so I think that would have an overall effect in a positive way.
Are you open to a different perspective?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I think you have it backwards.
Okay.
I think if you focused on growing your business, that would positively impact you growing your community, right? Because then you can share the lessons you're learning along the way. You're gonna focus on going after clients, right? There's something to learn from other massage therapists from your actions
Mm,
and the things that you're doing, right? And it's much easier to translate, hey, here's all the things that I'm doing. Let me show you what I've done to be successful so that I can help you be successful too. I don't know what your goal is with the community, or like just helping them learn what you're going through and creating camaraderie and, helping people. I think your success, in going after the clientele will have more of an impact on growing community than the opposite.
mm.
That'd be my opinion.
Yeah, I
Because
like it.
like I said, they'll be able to grow, or they'll be able to watch you grow. You'll be able to share insight lessons, marketing tips on what worked for you to get clients. You know what I mean? Like all these things that you're able to do because you've done it.
I like it. I like
Then you can lay out a framework if you wanted to about what did I do in my first year of business to grow. Because I think we underestimate, right? Like what can Tony Robbins quote, we underestimate what can be done we overestimate what can be done in a year, we underestimate what can be done in a decade.
Yeah.
right? We don't need to accomplish everything year one. So that would be my perspective and my opinion. But we could talk about that more on our private coaching call. All right. So do you agree or do you disagree with what I just said? And it's okay if you disagree.
I agree with it. I think that that's a great strategy, which is kind of just documenting what I'm doing, um, which I actually started doing some of that, just recording myself as I'm putting together the massage room, but I just haven't talked about it as much or been open about it as much. So
Mhm.
maybe I should. I think that's actually a really, really great idea. I think my plan for the community is not just that aspect of it. I think there is a lot more that I can kind of talk about the community and my vision for that. So this would be an aspect of that community, but it wouldn't be the whole reason for the existence of the community, which is, hey, let me show massage therapists what I'm doing. So that part is slightly different. And yeah, but
So what would be the purpose of the community?
um, the purpose of the community would be to create a space for new therapists to ask questions, for experienced therapists to share wisdom, and for massage therapists to grow together.
Are you involved in any of those communities already?
No.
There's a lot of Facebook groups for massage therapists.
Yeah.
So one thing we could do right away is start getting involved in some of those communities that are already there as well, right? Until we can start taking time to actually focus on that. Um, the community play is a much longer term play, right? Do you have a goal to monetize that, or is that just like a fun hobby that you want to work on?
Yeah. I mean, there's a goal for that. It's a freemium to paid version that I'm going to utilize with Skool. And in the beginning, it's definitely going to be some free aspects to it, just to let people know exactly what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And based on what they want, yeah, I'll introduce paid models, and what will go under that will be based on the feedback that I get from the group.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people will be more willing to take your advice, listen to you, or pay you if you have already created a successful business for yourself?
Yeah.
Or do you think they'd be more likely to do that if you didn't do that yet, or more likely to do that after you've already created success for yourself?
Yeah. For that specific idea, yeah, 100%. I think more people would definitely take um, more advice from me, or would easily gravitate towards me if I built a business, which is something that they probably want to do themselves. Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. I agree with that.
So what should be the number one priority?
Yeah, building the business.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And just, I mean, there's a lot we're going to figure out about you over the next year. You're going to figure out a lot about what's worked, what doesn't work, right? As you're going after it, sure, document the process, share it, um, share what's worked, what hasn't worked. But the number one, the priority is growing your own business, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to focus on. Anything else is going to be a distraction at this moment. It's very hard to focus on two things at once. That's actually the opposite of focus, right? Multitasking is a myth, in my opinion,
Mhm.
right? We want to, if we can get one thing, and again, what are we going to focus on this year? And then we're going to break that down to what are we going to focus on this 12 weeks? The next 12 weeks, we adjust. Okay. We have 12 more weeks. We're going to set goals around that. What do we want to go after? Okay, we still need to go after some success in the business because we're not where we want to be yet. Let's go after it. Let's go all in on that. Let's make real progress on that. Like, what if you created the amount of success that you wanted in 1 year, in your first year in business? Like, the amount of people who could learn from you then. I got my business to 10 grand months in the first year. Let me show you how I did it. The authority there goes way up, you know? So what's the goal you're going to work on? Like, what's the target for your business that you want to hit by the end of the year?
You're asking me
Mm-hmm.
like monetary goal?
That's what you wrote down, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what is
It's
it?
11K a month.
11K per month. So by the end of the year, you want to have hit December. You would like $11,000 a month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That seems realistic. That seems okay. So what needs to happen in the next 3 months, the next 12 weeks? What target do we possibly want to go after in the next 12 weeks to make us feel like we're having real progress towards that?
Probably, I'd say, I'd say in the next 3 months, if I can get half of that, I think would be great.
So in 12 weeks, we want to be at 5,500.
Yeah,
Okay. So that'd be your 12-week goal.
yeah.
Okay. Now, what if you were only able to do one thing, one action over the next 12 weeks that would have the biggest impact on you getting to 5,500 a month? What would it be?
Putting out content, speaking to my current clients and potential clients, marketing myself in that way.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, are you currently putting out content?
Just started slowly,
Okay.
trickling content out. Yeah. Well, actively creating it on the back end.
Okay. Now, is this something that you're going to do daily? Is this something that is a weekly task or is this something that is a monthly task?
The creation of it is a daily thing. How often I put out the videos, because I'm still learning some of the tools that I'm going to need in order to be able to put those out. I don't have a concrete like distribution time just yet, but I'd like to put out at least 2 to 3 pieces of content every week
2 to 3 a week.
on YouTube. Yeah.
All right. If you did 2 to 3 pieces of content per week, what do you think the likelihood that you attain this target is? How many clients do you think you can expect from that?
I do 2 to 3 a week. I'm not sure. I think a part of the content creation is going to have to be some adjustments based on feedback. Um, so I'm not 100% sure how to quantify what number I would get from that yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're not sure, Are
Yeah,
we sure that that is the best, the thing that will have the biggest impact on our business?
I think so.
All right, let me ask you, what have you done already or in the past to get clients?
Social media,
Because if we had to
marketing,
do right, like if,
and word of mouth too. I would say those two, but social media is probably the biggest impact.
okay, what like how on social media? What about social media? What does that mean? How are you getting clients from social media? Because people saw your like somebody referred you, they tagged you in a post, you posted in a local group. Like
They
how are you what's been up to this point, what's been the way that you've gotten the most clients?
So honestly speaking, I don't really have a lot of evidence for that, because I haven't really done my own thing. But the when I was doing out calls and working on people, I attracted many like pro athletes and people in general because they would see me associated not just with well, they would see me associated with these professional athletes, but they would also, which would give me credibility, um, but they would also, feel the trust, right? If a professional athlete is trusting me to work on them, then I may be able to help them in some way, which
Mhm.
creates that uh, you know immediate connection. But that's where I've gotten the benefit, but that's also been the extent really of my marketing efforts in social media. I did some stories, posting things like that, talking about some of my experience with people, but that's it. I haven't really posted on groups. I haven't really um, done anything outside of that, and also word of mouth too. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to just make a commitment to something and go after it over the next 12 weeks,
Okay.
right? If you feel like you're confident and you can consistently post, I'm going to push back a little bit and say that if that's the only thing we're doing, 2 to 3 pieces of content a week is not going to cut it. Now, I'm fine with starting there just so that we can build consistency, right? I would rather you start a little bit slower, but eventually we need to start building up, right? More,
Yeah,
right? So 2 to 3 pieces of content per week. Go ahead and write that down.
got it.
Okay. If you weren't able to do one more thing,
Yeah.
if you were able to do one more thing that would have the biggest impact on getting new clients, what do you think the next thing you would do is?
My mind immediately it goes to networking in some capacity, but I don't necessarily know. Yeah, I mean that's just my mind kind of stops there. It's like networking, but okay, how do we get to that networking? Where am I networking?
Yes.
All that part still needs to be. I still have to figure that part out.
Right. So when you're writing your goals, networking is going to be one of the targets, but your target for week one might be find a networking group,
Ah,
right? Because against the first one, right? So the one action is going to be find a networking group. The second action would be go to a networking group 1 to 2 times a week. We can't get that one until we find one, right? So one action is find a networking group, and we're going to put a little note next to it, say week, it needs to be accomplished week one.
I got one already. Actually, networking group.
Okay. Does that one meet weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
I think they meet weekly. So I've been to the thing in the past a while ago. So I just have to reconnect with them and get some. get some additional information. And my schedule's changed a little bit since then, so I just have to coordinate and make sure that's one that I can go to and stuff. But
Yeah. Well, we might want to get a few options on the table so that we have multiple places that we can meet people. See,
yeah,
this is where this is the piece that I would have started with if I'm you,
yeah,
because relationships is going to be the number one thing, especially in the beginning, right? When we don't have a bunch of money to put into marketing, um, or maybe we're not quite as consistent as we want to be, or content can be a big hurdle for some people. Maybe it isn't for you. So typically, networking is going to be one of the more the first things I recommend people do. Right, the more people who know us, the more people who know what we do, the more people who can refer us and come see us. Right, this is the know, like, trust. Right, they have to know us first. Right, which we can do through content, but for sure, especially you, bro, like you're very personable. Right, so in my opinion, one of your strong suits is your personality. Right, and so you're very likable, which will make business easier for you because people do business with people they know, people they like, and ultimately the deciding factor is people they trust. Right, and so we have to get through got to get them to know us before we can get them to trust us. And if they like us, that's even a plus. Although people still will do business with people they don't necessarily like because the trust factor is really high. But you don't want to have that type of friction though, if you can avoid it.
yeah,
Right. So I think your likability is going to be a real benefit for you. Right. You have like your personality. I think like when I've met you, there's almost like an instant trust that is built the way you come off. Right.
wow,
It's not creepy. It's not weird. You know what I mean? Like it's very professional, very kind. And this will all work in your favor in business.
thank you, thanks for that.
So networking would be my number one priority for you.
Yeah,
But in my opinion, content might be number two. The other thing is that networking will get you content. Right? This is where strategy comes in. I don't want to get too much into that today, but right, like we can take pictures of us networking. We take pictures with people. We post those on social media. Like we promote other people. We share their stuff. What do they do when we do that? They share our stuff, right? They reciprocate. You know what I mean? Especially if you're doing chair massage at networking groups or networking expos, which would be maybe number three. Chair
mm,
massage, get your hands on people. Chair massage events. Ideally, once we figure it out, I know we don't have it figured out. This is one of our calls that's going to be coming up. We want to figure out who is our target market so that we can figure out where do I need to be spending my time doing hands-on samples. So if we stop there, I think we have a solid plan for you. Right? So how many times over this next 12 weeks do we want to be doing a hands-on? Because I think, in my opinion, for massage therapists specifically, is we want to get our hands on people. We want them to experience. This is the same thing. We go to Costco and they have all the samples out, right? When I really like something, I promise you I buy it, right? If I'm interested, if it's something that like they had this noodle thing there the other day. One day I had like 5 samples first off, and then I went and bought 4 packages. If they didn't have that out there, I'm not buying those noodles that day. And so I believe one of the most impactful things we can do in the beginning when we have more time than we have money is chair massage. So whether we're doing that for free for marketing or we eventually have people start paying us to do local events and stuff like that. You hate that idea?
I love that idea. Doing chair massages. My mind's
Yeah.
already going. I'm taking notes on where I can potentially do that.
right? And then we're coaching together. So I will show you a process that actually gets people to book. Right?
Okay.
We're not going in here guessing. We're going in here, we're going to be booking appointments. Right. So even if we stop there, we have networking groups 1 to 2 times a week, probably once a week for you because you have your other schedule. So once per week, we need to be going to a networking group, meeting people in person, right? Maybe once a week, we need to be doing a chair massage event somewhere. And then your goal of 2 to 3 times a week, we need to be posting content. I would work towards posting something daily, but to start,
Yeah.
maybe the first month, we're going to hit that goal 2 to 3 a month.
Yeah. 100%. I'm with you on that.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate all the other options of things that we can do. And we are going to focus on these 3 things,
Love it.
right?
Love it.
Now, in the Skool community, weekly, on Monday, you can post, what am I going to do this week? On Friday, we can check in. What did I get done? Right? That's an accountability piece. Again, I'm saying that for other people who are not coaching with me one-on-one, you can message me. What are you gonna get done? And you and I can check in personally. Right? At the end of a 4-week period, we meet, we measure, right? This is so every month in the Skool community, we meet for goal check-in to reflect on what worked, what went well, what didn't go well, and then to refocus. Okay, am I going to stick with the same plan? Do I need to make slight adjustments to the plan? What was the progress I made over the last 30 days? Right? And then we'll go for another 4 weeks. And then we'll meet again in month 3 and go for another 4 weeks. And then after that, we'll do another one like this where we are going to reformulate and set new 12-week goals. Okay. Some of that might look like, you know what, I'm going to continue with the networking groups, but on this 12 weeks, I'm going to bump it up to 7 pieces of content a week. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the chair massage was effective or it wasn't effective. I'm going to try something different this next 12 weeks. Right. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to change it weekly because we need something to measure. We need to, everything that we do, every action that we take, really what it is everything actually works. We just need to figure out how to make it work for us. Right. This is the overwhelmed part of marketing for people is every idea is a good idea. Literally, every marketing idea is a good idea. We just need to figure out if it's right for you. Right? So I'm going to keep it really, really simple. I'm not even going to go 5 with you. For those of you watching, if you want 5, you can add more. Right? But you don't have to. See, I wrote mine down here. Let me see. So my 3 for the group is to host a monthly free workshop to help people outside of the community. Right? The next thing I would focus on is to host a monthly free workshop. To host a weekly call or workshop inside of the community for free and make it so good that everybody wants to talk about it. And the third thing is to post content daily, leading people to my email list or to the community. If I do those 3 things, I'm going to do those 3 things over the next month, over the next 12 weeks to try to get my community to 100 members. Right? There's a lot more that I could do. I'm going to go hard on those 3. And then we'll measure and see what needs to be adjusted. Right? Now, remember, we're going for progress here over perfection. Okay? So, I want to leave you today with something actionable. So, in the next 24 hours, what will you commit to doing? In the next 24 hours, what will I commit to doing? What action could I take today to make this goal feel real?
So next 24 hours, I need to find a networking group or at least identify networking groups. And I need to identify all potential places that I can do chair massages, even if it's for marketing.
Let's do one thing.
Okay.
Today, one thing.
Yeah, it would have to be to get in touch with the prior networking group and identify other networking groups which I can potentially go to.
Okay. Instead of other, let's be more specific.
Yeah.
How many?
5.
So get in touch with the one you already know about and then
Yeah.
identify 5 more groups
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Okay. Post that in our Skool community that you're going to do that. And then we will check in with you tomorrow and see the progress that you made on that. Progress. I didn't say that, right? What if you only get to 3? What if you only found 3? Is that okay?
Yeah.
It is. Are we going to beat ourselves up and tell us that we suck because we didn't get to 5 like we said?
No.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Absolutely not.
Right?
Yeah.
So the next thing to do after like I just asked you to do is to be posting in the group today what you're committed to getting done and making progress on this week. Right? Going forward, it'll be on Mondays. And then Friday we check in on progress. There's no guilt. There's no shame. There's just celebration for the actions that we did take. And then there's refocusing and moving forward again the next week. Right? We don't need a perfect plan. You just need clear priorities, consistent action, and commitment when it's hard. Right? That's how goals stop being wishes and start becoming results. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the workshop today. This recording will be in the Skool community, and I'll get that downloaded and posted this week. All right. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing what you can accomplish over the next 12 weeks. Peace. Hold on, Orion.
All right.